Hello friends. Glad to see you on my YouTube channel. Today I will show you how to putty the joint between drywall sheets. For this I am putting together a small layout. It is best when the factory edge of the drywall is joined. But this is not always the case. That's why I made a joint of the cut side of drywall on the layout. As you can see now, when screwing the self-tapping screw close to the edge of the cut drywall, it can crumble. Therefore, screw the screw a little further away from the edge. At least 15 mm from the edge of the sheet. The factory edge of the drywall is deepened. This is made especially for putty and joint reinforcing tape. When there is a trimmed edge of drywall, then there is no such depression. To putty the joint, it is necessary to cut off a part of the drywall at an angle. This can be done with a knife or a special plane. I got such a drywall joint after cutting the chamfer. Another nuisance has appeared, the dust from gypsum. Putty does not stick well to dusty surfaces. There is less dust at the factory joint, but it is on some screws. It is necessary to treat the surface of the joints with a construction primer. Use a brush to apply the primer. We carefully process all joints and screws. Let the primer dry. Read the instructions on the primer. It's time to mix the putty. Use a special filler for drywall joints. I use non-uniflet putty. This putty can only be mixed by hand. You cannot use a mixer. To fill the joint with putty, I use a 10 cm wide spatula. After applying putty along the entire length of the seam, I reinforce the joint with a special tape. The tape is also from NOF. We apply the tape to the putty along the entire joint of the drywall. Now we need an arrow or spatula. The width of my spatula is 80 mm. Press the tape into the putty. To do this, forcefully draw the spatula along the reinforcing tape. When performing this work, putty will crawl out from under the tape. This putty is again applied to the drywall seam, but over the reinforcing tape. Then we pass along the seam with a wide spatula and remove the excess putty. Do the same work on the rest of the seams. Waiting for the putty to dry. Read the instructions. After the putty has dried, it is necessary to look at the irregularities. To do this, you need to bring the lamp to the wall and direct the light along the surface. You will see everything at once. Smooth out irregularities with a sanding grater. The surface is dusty again. You need to sweep away the dust and treat the entire surface with a building primer. Waiting for the primer to dry. Now we take the finished finishing putty. It fits better and the surface is smoother. Of course, it all depends on your skills. Leave the finishing putty to dry. Let's see the unevenness of the surface using a lamp. I decided to sand the surface a little more. After sanding, be sure to apply a primer. I decided to paint the surface for a visual example. Let's see what the drywall seams look like now. The Zakotski joint is not at all. It turned out great. But there are small irregularities at the cut-off joint of drywall. But these irregularities in normal light will not be visible. I hope this video was helpful to you. Subscribe to the channel, write comments and see you in new videos.